And we look at it, it's almost like Separation Saturday. The pretenders are getting away from the contenders, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And I think we had some great ball games today. And we obviously saw that for the Big 12 championship and possibly the national championship, it could go through the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas.
Wow.
Yeah, Bill Snyder and Colin Klein went into Morgantown and put a big-time knot on West Virginia's head and emerged as obviously one of the top teams in this country.
All right, guys, we start with that big one in Morgantown. Kansas State is the only undefeated team in the conference against West Virginia, who's still mad about that loss on the South Plains of Texas and Texas Tech. The Mountaineers have allowed 45 points per game in the last 3 games. Did it only twice in the previous 118 games. Let's go to West Virginia, where before the game there was a little trash talking, but we also talked about the Heisman Trophy matchup. Geno Smith against Colin Klein. Pick it up in the first quarter. Kansas State already up a field goal. Klein drives back, lobs to Tyler the Rocket Lockett, and look out when these two guys get going, Coach.
Lockett had 8 catches for 198 yards and is one of the better receivers in this league.
Just like that, a 10-point lead on the road in the first, and here's more. Insult to injury. Klein with the snap. He'll keep it himself. He'll go 9 yards, his second rushing touchdown of the game. The Wildcats extending their lead to 24-0. But on the ensuing kickoff, the Mountaineers would finally answer Tavon Austin. In just 9 seconds, he shows you his deer speed, Garrett.
He has a lot of speed. Nobody's going to catch Tavon Austin. He's done this time and time again for the Mountaineers.
Unfortunately, this one of the few highlights for the Mountaineers on this night. The Wildcats would respond with under 20 seconds left in the half. Klein again, bulldozing in. And boy, it was a rough night for Dana Holgerson and his bunch. You can't believe what he's seeing. The Mountaineers are down 31-7 at the break. Then on the first play of the second half, Geno Smith drops back. He'll fire, he gets batted. And Arthur Brown comes up with the interception. First pick by Geno Smith since December 1st of last year. Before that, he broke Trent Dilfer's record set at Fresno State for most passes without an interception, which makes us flash back a year ago against Robert Griffin III, the Heisman Trophy winner. Arthur Brown knocked off his streak of 135 in a row in October. Back to tonight's game. And the Wildcats would capitalize on the pick. Klein back to pass to Chris Harper. And boy, he can throw a little bit too, Kenny.
I was about to say, if you had any questions about his throwing accuracy, Colin Klein proved tonight that he has a laser touch. A couple of great passes just like that we saw in the end zone tonight.
Then Klein back at it again. You know what he's going to do? He's going to take it over for his 4th rushing touchdown of the game. Mountaineers down 45-7. Geno Smith not happy, but the leader that he is, he gets the guys together. Come on, man. Let's put together some drives and just do it one drive at a time. But the ensuing possession, Smith, he'll fire, and it's picked off again, this time by Ty Zimmerman. Smith with only 143 yards passing, 2 interceptions on the night. He really, really struggled. And then once again, the Wildcats would respond. Colin Klein doing what he does well, and he'll fire to his favorite target, Rocket Tyler Lockett, 20 yards here. He finished with a career-high 323 yards and 7 touchdowns, and in the first meeting since 1931, the game is out of hand. How about it? Kansas State beats West Virginia 55-14. K-State, it marks the 3rd time since 1999 that they have started the year 7-0, 4-0 in conference play. Tavon Austin's streak of 7 straight games with 9 catches or more comes to an end. Let's head back to Morgantown, where Julie Alexandria walks with Bill Snyder.
Coach, congratulations on the performance tonight. You guys were incredibly focused and disciplined. How did tonight's performance meet your expectations?
Well, I think we played well. I think our coaches did an awfully nice job, or certainly our players did in all 3 aspects of the game. I thought defensively, you know, it really was an outstanding night. We didn't do anything different. We just did it, I thought, really well for the most part.
Career night tonight by Colin Klein. What were your reaction to those 7 touchdowns?
Well, you know, Colin is Colin, and he plays well. Tonight was not out of the ordinary for him. You know, he's a tremendously focused young guy. He's a guy every single day and every single game means a great deal to him. We have a lot of players that are invested in this program exactly the same way, and he's the leader of that group. He's a wonderful young man.
Got to give Julie a lot of credit. First reporter in 10 years that got Bill Snyder to stop for an interview. Let's take a look at the Heisman Trophy candidates at quarterback. Colin Klein passes Missouri's Brad Smith for the second most rushing touchdowns since the conference formation in 1996. He had 4 today. Colin Klein may have just taken the Heisman Trophy from Geno Smith today, Coach.
Well, I don't really like saying this, but I don't think Geno Smith's anymore really a legitimate candidate. I think what Klein did vaulted him probably to the top of this stuff. So, gosh, you would have thought West Virginia might have bounced back. We kept on thinking, well, they're at home. They're going to play well against K-State. But K-State went in there and totally dominated the ball game.
And I think what Colin Klein did on the road for his football team and taking them and leading against the Mountaineers is just superlative. I tell you, he has the moxie that you want as a quarterback, as a player, as a leader of your football team, and he can beat you many different ways. He started out early throwing to Lockett with that nice touch pass, and then obviously, with what he's been able to do running the football over the last couple of years, getting touchdown after touchdown. Hey, this is nothing new, and this offensive line really is a catalyst for this football team because, one, they protect Colin Klein, and also they allow this running game to flourish with John Hubert and Colin Klein as well. So it's a very balanced offensive attack that Bill Snyder, obviously very proud of his team.
Coach, you said last week that Colin Klein is the best player in this conference. Is he the best player in the country?
Well, he might be. I think what will happen, you go over there on the East Coast and get that kind of exposure and let other people, I think we all realize what Klein is. We've seen it for a couple of years, but now other people in other parts of the country are seeing it at a high level. This guy is a marvelous football player who is a great young man.
Geno Smith has just been unbelievable up until the last 2 games. Let's take a look at his numbers. Just amazing. You go back to that Orange Bowl, even more amazing. I just want to know, what did K-State do defensively to rattle him today, Garrett?
Well, I think what they did was they had consistent pressure up front in his face, tried to rattle him a lot, and they did get back there to him. They sacked him a few times in the ball game, and obviously in the secondary, when you're close enough to the receivers, is what Kansas State does. They keep the plays in front of them. They minimize big plays. Over the course of the season, West Virginia has been making big plays for their wide receivers, run after the catch opportunities. The Wildcats were having none of that today.
Yeah, and you look at these numbers, boy, the first 5, lights out. I mean, record-setting, unbelievable. Looked like he was going to run away with the Heisman. LeBron James is tweeting about it. Now the last 2, he's off the map for the Heisman Trophy. Coach, do you think Texas Tech kind of gave them a model in what to do with him?
I think we said this a couple of weeks ago, guys, that if anything, West Virginia got exposed in their offensive line. And I think Tech really exposed them more, and K-State continued to do it today. And that's going to continue as this season goes on. I don't know it's as much Geno Smith as it is the offensive line, the combination of.
Let's take a look ahead for Kansas State, and it doesn't get any easier. Wow, this is going to be fun. Texas Tech, that might be for the Big 12 title next week.
It could be. Now, Tech is playing at a very high level. Tommy Tuberville's obviously got his team playing well. Big win today at TCU and Oklahoma State. That's going to be a good rivalry game for them also. So, it's got Kansas State. It's in front of them. They've got some work to do, though.
Yeah, and Coach, you look at West Virginia, they will get a week off to think about it, probably the best thing that they can get, kind of remove themselves from these past 2 weeks. Then they welcome in, they play TCU at Stillwater, then OU makes their first trip to Morgantown.
Well, this schedule is not doing them any favor. This is kind of welcome to the Big 12 Mountaineers. This deal's not going to get any easier. You wonder whether the open date at this particular time is good or bad, Gary. Sitting on 2 tough losses, do you want to get back out there and get to doing something again, or stew on it for a week?
If I was the defensive coach, I would definitely like to see some time to take and get back to the fundamentals, because I think that's one of the things that's hurt them this season, the big explosive offensive outbursts that we've seen. You take a look at Baylor in the opening ball game, and obviously Texas Tech, we talked about them last week, and again this week as well. Really the defense has been taking it on the chin. They've got to make some adjustments, Coach, and I think this bye week will probably come at a good time for the Mountaineers.
It will not be an easy off week for anybody in Morgantown.
Break time on Big 12 Live. Still ahead, it's homecoming for the Cowpokes.
Separate occasions. Kansas State and West Virginia. After West Virginia got thumped in Lubbock, everybody said, how mad is West Virginia going to be? They have to deal with Optimus Klein, that is optimal when Colin Klein fires it to Tyler Lockett. Look at Klein. He's very accurate, Mark.
He definitely is. And his throwing motion is perfect, Reese. You know that. But this ball, it's one of the best thrown balls I've seen this season, right on the money to the end zone.
It doesn't matter how it looks. It matters if it gets there. Where Colin Klein usually gets to is the end zone. They were opening up a John Denver-sized can of whooping on country roads. It was 31-7, and Geno was having all kinds of trouble. He hadn't thrown an interception all year until now. That's Arthur Brown, who, by the way, intercepted Robert Griffin III last year for the first pick RG3 threw. Geno's first interception in 273 attempts. He did break Trent Dilfer's single-season record, but that's a small consolation because Klein was throwing for Chris Harper.
Well, he just had a tremendous day, and this was really a mismatch. You know, that's 2 weeks in a row now West Virginia's been embarrassed.
Look at Harper looking that thing in double coverage. 6 catches, 96 yards. It's 38-7. I want you to note the score. It's 45-7 still in the third quarter. Klein to Lockett. Klein threw 2 incomplete balls, more than 300 yards. He accounted for 7 touchdowns. Hey, kids, there's your new Heisman leader right there. Kansas State rolls double nickels on West Virginia, and the Mountaineers defense, look, good team. Holgerson's going to get it going. National championship contender, fraudulent. Not even close because of that defense. They've got an explosive offense at times. The flip side of it, Kansas State is a national championship contender largely because of its quarterback.
Well, they just a very solid football team, exceptionally well coached. But Colin Klein just is outstanding. I want to tell you, you can't say enough of good things about Colin. I mean, he has vision, he has feel, and he throws. But I also got to tell you this, I've never seen receivers as wide open as they were for Kansas State on a consistent basis, although this is just a great throw. His first 2 throws were absolutely outstanding, but after the game went on, Colin ran the ball, unbelievable.
One thing about West Virginia, they should have known coming into this game, a Bill Snyder coach team is going to hit you in the mouth. They're going to be physically and mentally tough. They weren't prepared for that. They were manhandled at the line of scrimmage. Colin Klein had a terrific day. But when you play a Bill Snyder team, they're going to be sound in the kicking game. They're going to play great defense. They're not going to beat themselves offensively and not turn the ball over. That's exactly how they played in this game. And a sign of a really good football team is when they go on the road and do it to their opponent and do it impressively, and that's what they did.
The 2 best wins of the season, I would say 2 road wins, Kansas State at Oklahoma, Kansas State emphatically at West Virginia.
And they play such great zone coverage. They break on the ball, and that's why West Virginia cannot get many yards after the catch, which we said a couple weeks ago, that's the basis of their offense.
That's right, because teams don't beat you throwing and catching. Nope. They beat you by
running after the catch.
By running after the catch. Well, Geno Smith really has had a rough 2 weeks throwing the ball down the field. Both Tommy Tuberville's defense for Texas Tech and then defense for Kansas State on Saturday night. Able to keep everything in front. Geno 2 of 23 on throws of 15 yards or longer in the last 2 games. Only averaging 29 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 picks, his first 2 coming against Kansas State. Stormy, let's rank them, all access pass.
My top 5, Alabama hasn't changed, but I got a tie between Oregon and Florida, between 2 and 3. Number 4 is Kansas State, and for now, Notre Dame's number 5, but after the beatdown next week, they won't even be in the top 5.
You're such an instigator.
Well, I tell you what, I am impartial. Alabama, Oregon, Florida, Notre Dame, Kansas State. I love Kansas State, what they're doing, but Notre Dame will have a good test next week.
Impartial, huh?
Impartial.
Notre Dame pulled you out of the fire for the worst day in studio history after South Carolina got beat if Notre Dame had lost 2. Win a helmet sticker, you get a T-shirt that we sign, hang it up in your football office. The school gets it, not the kid, because it's some kind of violation or something.
Kansas State quarterback Colin Klein had a huge day against West Virginia on the road. He threw for 3 touchdowns and rushed for 4.